Okay, thank you, Gabe. And thank you, TeamRGE, for organizing and putting this together, and also Eric from Xenep blog, of course. Thank you very much. And well, I'll start with a brief introduction of myself. Sorry about that. Wrong focus. My name is Jits Langedijk. I'm a solutions architect professional visualization at NVIDIA. So I'll focus on the enterprise solutions that NVIDIA has to offer, both from a Quadro perspective as well as the Tesla brand that we offer for data center solutions. In the previous session by Eric Bonors, my colleague, he talked a little bit about Quadro and Tesla GPUs. I'm involved in a couple of community initiatives, and as I said, a proud member of TeamRGE. I'll start with a short introduction on NVIDIA vGPU, and basically, and I think for those who've been here from the first session, the keynote session presented by Ruben and by Benny, VDI, although here speaking out of the Netherlands, it's already pretty mainstream. It's commodity, but still it's ramping up. The VDI market is growing, and there are actually 4 factors that contributing to this growth. And of course, the first one is the increased flexibility and business agility. As said before in many sessions before me, work from any place, on any device, over any location, and just the way you want. Is a huge contributing factor to VDI adoption. But also the collaboration. More and more people are starting to collaborate within organizations, but also across multiple organizations. And technology is helping us with that. Voice and video collaboration tools are more common these days, and as we demonstrate right now, of course, during this live session. And of course, the increased security and risk management. When you're consolidating all your intellectual property into the data center and just remotely connect towards this IP, it increases security, and with that, risk management is more easier, and everything is contained within the data center. And it also, of course, it provides a single source of truth. You don't have to copy your files back and forth between a client device and a central location. And when I'm talking about data center, this can be a public cloud or a private cloud, right? So as long as just centralized and virtualization techniques are involved. And of course, with the techniques that consolidation and virtualization provide, we can reduce the capital expenses as well as the operational expenses. So with these 4 key factors, well, some would say this is the year of VDI, but as stated again, it's becoming a running joke. But I'm 100% convinced this 2019 will definitely be the year. Greetings to Johan. So when you're moving from a traditional client-server environment towards a more virtualized environment, a consolidated environment in your private or public cloud solution, please consider that all your devices, and Eric, my colleague, he mentioned it before me, just before the break, all our devices which we use on a daily basis already have graphics integrated. So that really, well, sets the bar for the expected user experience. So with that, it's pretty obvious that a virtual machine from the private cloud or public cloud also needs a GPU. And of course, this is me talking, but it's pretty obvious when you're after user experience, that's the way to go. And it's not only the operating system, Windows 10, and every build we see an increase of CPU utilization and hunger for CPU resources, but it's also the applications, whether that's Office 365 or web browsers with WebGL content, multimedia content, scrolling and viewing through PDF files, and collaboration with voice and video, as mentioned before, digital imaging, but also keep in mind the physical aspect of the workplace. Multi-monitors, high-res monitors, 4K is becoming more and more mainstream. And with that, GPU acceleration is a necessity to provide a acceptable or a good user experience. So With the introduction, I want to show a little bit, for those who are unfamiliar with vGPU technology, I want to show you a little bit how it works. So this is more like a traditional environment. We have our server, we have our chassis, the hardware. On top of that, we put a hypervisor. This can be any hypervisor, the hypervisor of your choice. And on this hypervisor, we are able to create virtual instances to provide access to applications or desktops. So now with NVIDIA vGPU technology, we put a Tesla GPU, and as we'll show later, we currently support also some Quadro boards, but we put a physical GPU into a server chassis. Again, we run a hypervisor on top of that, but now with the NVIDIA vGPU technology, we install a virtualization software, the Grid Manager or vGPU Manager, within the hypervisor. And again, we can run multiple virtual instances, Windows VMs or Linux VMs. And what we can do from the hypervisor level, we can assign a certain vGPU profile to a virtual instance. And this is more or less the one-to-many scenario. So one physical GPU, we can, thanks to the vGPU virtualization technology, we can assign multiple pieces, so to speak, of segmentations of this physical GPU to multiple virtual machines. And we do this by dividing the amount of frame buffer in equal sizes. This is the second method that we also support with vGPU technology, and that's the pass-through technology. And this is, instead of a one-to-many scenario, this is a one-to-one scenario. So one virtual machine gets full access to one physical GPU. So this is a brief introduction of vGPU technology, why we introduced vGPU technology, and how it works under the hood. So why we started creating the vGPU technology basically dates back from 2013. We focused on the high-end 2D, 3D use cases with designers, architects, and engineers. For those who are familiar with the first releases of the H6 Pro, with the physical workstations, with a one-to-one scenario where at least you can provide some remote access to a physical workstation, which is located in a data center, and have all the capabilities of a fully GPU-enabled physical instance, so to speak. From a financial point of view, of course, this was, well, less interesting. So that's why the vGPU technology, first with the K1 and the K2 cards, for those who remember these cards, was introduced. And over the years, we increased the amount of features, and this opened up new use cases. And still today, there is massive well, involvement into new features with the vGPU technology. So that really well, indicates that the NVIDIA vGPU technology is a well, software-focused solution. And of course, you always need a GPU, a physical device, but all the smart added features over the years are all based on software, of course. So with that, I said it's a full vGPU update. I want to talk a little bit about the versions and all the benefits that you get when you're updating to these new features. For those who are unfamiliar with our releases, you can look it up. The link is down on the screen. So today our latest version is the 9.0 version, which was released last Friday, June 21st, the longest day of the year, so you get plenty of time to upgrade. Well, the longest day, every day is 24 hours, but you get a lot of sunlight, right? So you get the point. And looking at this slide, I want to give you some tips. Keeping your vGPU manager, your grid manager, which you install into the hypervisor, on the same level as the guest driver, the Windows driver or the Linux driver, well, that's the optimal configuration. What's also supported is across the major release. So you can use the 7.0 version of the vGPU manager in combination with the 7.2 Windows drivers or guest drivers. What is not supported is across major releases. So please keep that in mind when you're updating your environment. And for those who are, well, always want to be on the latest release, yeah, I have to apologize. We are working on a cross-major release support, but that's something for the future. And unfortunately, even if I would know, I still can share it, but to be honest, I really don't know. So in October 2018, we released the 7.0 version, which brought us the support for multi-vGPU support. So instead of slicing a physical GPU up, into different segments and assign it to multiple virtual instances, this is more or less the other way around. So based on customer request, we created together with Red Hat at first the ability to assign up to 4 physical GPUs and assign them to 1 virtual machine for those who are really power hungry. The vMotion support for VMware ESXi became available in October 2018, and also the integration with the NVIDIA GPU Cloud. For those who are not familiar with NVIDIA GPU Cloud, I have to disappoint you. This is not something like a Alibaba or Azure or AWS with GPU accelerated cloud instances. This is a repository where you can find all the major frameworks for deep learning and machine learning, which you can simply download in a NVIDIA Docker container and run on your virtualized environment to do some training or maybe do some inferencing for deep learning purposes. So with the ability to have the vMotion and also the XenMotion, all of a sudden the mixed workloads became available. So during the day, all your resources are assigned for the graphics, the graphical user, so to speak, so VDI or graphics by day. And by the end of the day, some of the users will log off, and of course you want to consolidate these sessions onto one single host, and allowing you to assign other resources to more, well, in this case, a high performance computing use case. So in this case, we have 1 virtual machine with 2 physical GPUs assigned to it to do some, some fluid dynamics, or, well, in this case, it's calculating something else, of course. Maybe Max Verstappen can use some of these technologies. And of course, by the end of the night, and when users start coming in, we free up some resources, and the graphical user, the VDI user, is able to use the GPU accelerated resources again. So of course this will increase the high availability once you can vMotion or XenMotion your VDIs. But I think also, especially when looking at costs, this really maximizes your infrastructure utilization, your resources, which you paid a lot for, and this, of course, is more from a private cloud perspective. Well, you really make use out of it during the night, right? So with the 7.1, we introduced the support for the Tesla T4 GPU. My colleague Eric Boners, prior to my session, explained all the goodness about this T4. So make sure, if you're watching this as a recording, please make sure to look his sessions up as well. But we also introduced the support for Nutanix HAV 5.10 and VMware Horizon 7.7. And the latest release from the 7 major release branch is support for Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops 1903 and the VMware Horizon 7.8. And of course, in the spring of this year, we released the version 8.0. And I think one of the for me, the most exciting things was the support for the Quadro RTX 6000 and 8000 GPU boards. Live migration for the V100 became available, and also support for a 4K screen in a 1B profile. So prior to the 8.0 release, with a 1B profile, and the B stands for a virtual PC license, only provided a physical screen layout or setup with 2 full HD monitors. And with the 8.0 release, we also provided a 1B4 vGPU profile, which supports 1 4K screen. And of course, the support for some latest Windows, or at least like back then, the latest Windows 10 and Server 2019 releases. And with the RTX boards that became available in the vGPU 8.0 release, well, this accelerated all the creativity that all the designers and media and entertainment, manufacturing and architecture really desired. So again, you could see some similarity with the VDI by day and compute by night, but in this case, it's more like a design workstation, a QVDWS license assigned to a virtual machine, but also some rendering nodes. More and more rendering software became GPU aware, and over the upcoming months and years, this will certainly increase. So again, we see here the mixed workloads on the GPU. So not only VDI and compute by night, but also rendering. And again, this increased productivity for all those designers and reduced costs, and of course, improved all the utilization of the hardware which you acquired as an organization. So now today, if you have seen, version 9.0 became available last Friday. So this introduced a fourth software edition. Well, at least it leaves some room open for a fourth solution. So we got the vApps, the virtual PC, and the QVDWS licenses, all for specific use case. And for those who are familiar with our documentation, you can easily find number 4. But when I talk about VDI by day, compute by night, or rendering servers, well, anyone with some imagination can connect the dots and go for the compute. So I mentioned it a couple of times already. We have the vApps, the VPC, and the QVDWS licenses. And there is an entitlement and a capability entitlement per license version. Here again, you can find it in our documentation as well, but you can really see the differences between the different versions. So the vApps is focused on an RDSH, Citrix NApp, Horizon Apps environment, and the VPC and QVDWS is focused on a pure VDI solution. So either with Linux, which you get support for both with VPC as well as QVDWS, and Windows virtual desktops, of course. And all these versions also provide some access to different vGPU profiles. So if you are after a virtual instance with more than 2 GB of frame buffer in a VDI scenario, you need to go for the QVDWS license. And well, also mentioned by Eric, with the latest releases of vGPU, we got support for the 6000, the 8000 Turing cards with the ray tracing cores and the tensor cores, and well, and the V100. So these are the boards when you're after your QVDWS high-end GPU environment. And keep in mind, the V100 is a board with double precision. So especially for HPC workloads, this is your weapon of choice. And this is the complete lineup for all our GPUs. And yes, there are more GPUs still supported in our solution, but these are the boards basically that, well, if you, from a technical point of view, if you have to make a choice today, pick one of those. And of course, the latest GPU architecture, the Turing, so the RTX and the T4, well, they will guarantee you the best user experience or HPC experience. So to wrap it up, this is the year of VDI. It makes sense to still focus on this. User experience is key. People expect the VDI to deliver a similar to local PC user experience. Modern operating systems and applications are designed with GPUs in mind. This applies to web applications, but also standard Windows applications. vGPU is a software solution, and yes, you need a physical GPU, but all the goodness that we have seen since 2013 are primarily from the software that has been developed. Take a look at the mixed workloads, so graphics, rendering, but also compute. Compute is a use case that really unlocks some real opportunities. So, and with that, and I hope I'm still in time, but Gabe, I don't hear you yet, but I'll unmute. I want to thank you all. I want to thank Xenoblock. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening to a recording, if this is the recording, and hope to see you next time.